I think Donald Trump learned his lesson from the first 4 years that he was president, not to surround himself with people who thought that could do a better job than the president could do. Donald Trump has made it clear that he is the president, he alone makes policy, and that if you're going to serve in his administration, you will be subordinated to his will, to his policy designs. And we even saw this with Marco Rubio, who was a one-time political, opponent of Donald Trump, has totally just caved. Marco Rubio is a man who makes it clear that he works for President Trump. He's also acknowledged that there will be places where he will not, tread because it's Trump land, and Russian policy is one of those places. So that's where we're at. But the problem is they end up creating a bunch of yes men. Again, I just keep telling Donald Trump, hey, boss, give me an afternoon. Bring all your Russian people in, bring me in. And by the time we're finished, you'll fire all of them and you'll invite me back because they're misleading you about Russia. And it's too bad. There is an opportunity here to solve not just the problem of Ukraine, but the problem of European security. And if Donald Trump was smart and properly advised, he would, and if this is done in terms of a business deal, we're talking about leveraging one property into a bigger property. That is letting the Russians get what they want in Ukraine, but making sure that what a post-conflict European security framework looks like is something the United States can live with, as opposed to being dictated to by a victorious Russia, because we don't have a plan, because we thought that the issue was Ukraine when it's not Ukraine. Look, Donald Trump's a transactional person. He thinks everything comes down to transaction and greed. Because he's a man who has no principle, no moral foundation, no ideology other than money, he can't understand a nation that was willing to sacrifice so much to achieve a result that truly impacts it. The Russians didn't go to war in Ukraine lightly. This is a big deal for them. This is about NATO expansion. This is about the future of Russia. This is about preserving Russian cultural heritage, everything. And so, Russia's not going to give up all of that because Donald Trump got the price of oil to go to $45 a barrel. And again, it just shows how stupid Donald Trump is and how stupid his advisors are. Right now, I think the price of oil is about $78 a barrel. That's low. The break-even point for Saudi Arabia is in about $85. That's what they need to balance their budget. So Saudi Arabia right now is basically living off of their savings in order to do the United States and the world a favor during a political season where we didn't want gas prices to go up too much. But, and the other thing is the break-even point for Russian oil is about $1 a barrel. That's what it costs to produce. Russia needs oil up around $70 to balance their budget, maybe $75 to balance their budget. But to continue to produce oil, Russia needs it around above $41. That's about the average cost of a barrel out of the ground. So as long as it's above $41, Russia can continue to produce oil economically. They aren't going to sell enough or make enough to balance their budget, but they can continue to produce oil. You drop the price of oil below $50. I'm a Marine and math isn't my thing, but 45 is lower than 50. And you collapse the new oil production market in the United States. And within 2 years, we'll lose 30% of our oil production. Saudi Arabia, the cost for a barrel is around $10. So that you can bring that price down as much as you want. Saudi Arabia is still going to be able to produce oil. But here's the problem. The United States. Since 2020, all of America's oil growth comes from the Permian Basin of West Texas. All of our new wells are there. The break-even point for an existing Permian Basin well is around $33. So if oil's at 45, they can still make some money. But for new wells, all of our new production, new wells, the average break-even point is $66. Donald Trump is just stupid. Does he really think that West Texas oilmen, especially the wildcatters who poured in their entire future, they gambled everything on the promise of market stability made by the U.S. government, that oil will be kept between $76 and $80 a barrel. So now they can say, okay, we can go ahead and put in these wells and start production, to get our money recouped. He thinks What? You're going to go in and drop oil? Russia can produce oil forever. Saudi Arabia can produce oil forever. The United States can't produce oil forever. We keep oil at $45 a barrel for 2 years. Our oil economy collapses. And we have people who will lose everything. And when the West Texas economy collapses, the American economy collapses. Let me just say something to Donald Trump and his advisor right now. Saudi Arabia and Russia knows the oil production business better than you do. Donald Trump is a New York State real estate guy. He ain't Rex Tillerson. He's not, any of these other oil men. Bring an oil man into your business before you start talking stupidity. Fire Keith Kellogg now. The man doesn't know anything about anything. Okay? He looked good on Fox TV, and I guess he whispered sweet nothings in your ear, but he knows nothing about nothing. Get rid of him, because he's going to destroy your credibility of your administration. You got one shot at Vladimir Putin. One shot. Make it a good shot. Make peace happen. If not, Russia will just ride this thing out, and Russia will outlast Donald Trump. There's the other guarantee. I can guarantee one thing. Vladimir Putin will be the president of Russia when Donald Trump's term ends. And if Donald Trump screws this up, Vladimir Putin will be the president of Russia when J.D. Vance's one-term presidency ends and the Democrats come back in after 8 years. So, it's up to Trump. He's just poorly advised right now. Poorly advised. Donald Trump is dumber than a box of bricks if he thinks this is a strategy that works. The other thing is, didn't he know what would happen the last time he played stupid game? This is what could happen. As the price lowers, the Saudis and the Russians just keep pumping oil out. And so now you have low oil, you have a glut, and the price shrinks even lower. And now it can drop down to $21. The Saudis keep going to 10. There's certain oil fields in Russia that can produce oil at 12. And they'll just keep pushing. They'll keep pushing oil on the market. And you know what happens to all the American money? It loses all value. In fact, to own a barrel of oil costs you money, because now you're going to have to pay the oil you have. There's no storage. And so having oil doesn't make you money. It costs you money. That's what happened back in 2020. The price of oil went from being, $30 a barrel to negative $18 a barrel. Is that really the game that Donald Trump's ready to play? Donald Trump has spoken about withdrawing 20% of American forces from Europe in the near future. My advice to him is to pull all the troops out of Poland and watch what Poland does. See, Poland right now thinks that they're, we got American troops. We're the new Germany. Pull them all out, Donald. Get them all out of Poland. Shut down the American bases there. Just let Poland understand the reality that you're on your own. Therefore, you don't get to hide behind the shield of America anymore. All the stupidity that you're talking, you alone will pay the consequences for it. Good luck. And watch how quickly Poland changes it too. The same thing with the Baltics. Watch how quickly they change their tune when they realize they don't have an American and a NATO shield anymore, that they suddenly have to learn how to live. If you go around, you're 5'2" and you go around and you're poking the 6'4" person in the chest all the time because you got your 6'5" person over here. The 6'5" person leaves. You'll stop poking the 6'4" person in the chest. You'll stop in a heartbeat. This is the kind of healthy environment Europe needs. So who knows what the hell's going on in Donald Trump's brain? I don't even think Donald Trump knows what the hell's going on in Donald Trump's brain. The problem is he's so deceptive that he deceives himself. Substantive policy papers. So I think, Putin is seeking different ways to influence Donald Trump. He's made several statements to the media, to press, and he, is engaged in this sort of indirect communication, speaking to a Western population, but knowing that the true audience is Donald Trump. Donald Trump thing can play a role on, does he want NATO to survive? Does he want NATO to, how does he want NATO to be? But NATO can't afford to be anything. Donald Trump has set a minimum standard of 5%. NATO can't afford that. If the United States withdraws, it goes up to 10 to 15%. NATO can't afford that. So, but the idea that the United States has a say in what's going on in Ukraine is a joke. We can convince ourselves that we're all powerful. The Russians don't care. They've made a decision. They're fully committed to achieving all of their stated objectives on terms that they will accept, as Putin says, based upon the present reality. And so he's failing to see that what he's doing is creating the conditions for Europe to become even more chaotic and anarchy ridden and violent. The potential of European wars is real. There is genuine animosity between Germany and Poland. It can be exacerbated. And if you have a European Union today, the head of the foreign ministry of the European Union, this Kallas girl, is talking about the breakup of Russia into its tiny little parts. I think Russia would be well advised to ensure that Europe gets broken up into tiny little parts and just let Europe be Europe. I can guarantee you that the discussion the Russians are having about the future of Western Ukraine will dominate Western Ukraine for decades to come. Western Ukraine isn't going to be part of any, post-Ukrainian world that's created by the United States. Russia is looking at Kiev being a rump state, completely subordinated to Russia, and they're looking at disposing of Western Ukraine to other people. The belief is that Poland would never allow a Banderist government to thrive in Lvov and other cities, that Hungary would be more than happy to take control of the Carpathian region. So would Romania. They're talking about breaking up the problem because the problem of Ukrainian nationalism is grounded in the West. That's a reality. That's the facts. And, the victors get to decide how the spoils are divided, and Russia is the victor. I mean, if Donald Trump wants to take one thing away, Zelensky will not be at the table. Zelensky won't be recognized as the leader. Russia just isn't going to recognize Zelensky. Zelensky needs to be removed and replaced with somebody who will then understand what's at stake here, which is the surrender of Ukraine, not a negotiation. And that's the reality. The Ukrainians keep acting as if they have a vote in how this ends. They don't. They lost. And that's the reality. Russia will continue to put pressure. This front is collapsing quicker than most people recognize. There's nothing left to back it up. NATO is bankrupt. NATO troops will never be permitted on the soil of Ukraine. The United States isn't willing to go to war over Ukraine. Russia has military reserves and the military production capacity and, the operational momentum. This is a conflict that Russia is going to win handily in a very short, in the next couple months. And now you've shown yourself to be a friend of China, and now they might listen to you when you talk about Russia and things of that nature. But China owes Trump nothing, and Trump has nothing on China. There's nothing he can bring to the table. So this is ridiculous that he's somehow going to play the two sides off against each other. I don't think the Russians have any false expectations. They know who Donald Trump is. They also understand the vagaries of American politics. But they don't trust the United States as far as you can throw the United States. So I think the Russians are playing a game right now, giving Donald Trump a chance. Why not? But the Russians aren't going to change anything about what they're doing. They're winning. So they're not going to yield. They're not going to give anything up. They're going to give Donald Trump a chance. And when he fails, and I believe he will fail, Russia will say, well, I'm sorry. You go back to the United States and do whatever it is the hell you're doing over there. But we're going to just continue winning this war. And we're prepared to do it the easy way or the hard way. I mean, Donald Trump threatening the Russians, we're going to do it the hard way. What a stupid threat. I mean, it's just nonsensical. But, Russia's doing it the hard way right now on the ground in Ukraine, slaughtering the Ukrainians, pushing forward relentlessly. And the Ukrainians have no chance to stop them. NATO has nothing to stop them with. This is what Donald Trump inherited. He's following bad advice, horrible advice, and it's not having the impact. Donald Trump speaking directly to the Russian people. I don't think the Russian people are this superficial, this shallow. They know who Donald Trump is. They're aware of the totality of his, of his posturing when it comes to Russia. They also know that Donald Trump can't be trusted at all. Russia has said it's not Ukraine. And why do you think Russia put forward the draft treaties they did on December 17th, 2021? Those treaties were designed to avoid a Ukrainian conflict, to focus on the major issue, which was European security framework. That's where Donald Trump needs to be focused on. Ukraine's a lost cause. We're not going to solve it. He needs to stop pretending that he can somehow fix it. He knows what he was trying to accomplish in Ukraine. Remember those 20 bases, the CIA bases that went in there? Who was the president when they went in? Donald Trump. What was the policy of the United States when Donald Trump was president? The strategic defeat of Russia. So, Donald Trump's not fooling anybody. He needs to acknowledge that the policies are failed and come up with something that protects America's national security interests. We're not protected when we continue to pursue bad policy.